Hello, learners. So today I welcome you to the session of string operations in Python. I am Roneeta Purkayastha, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, SOT, Adamas University. So these are the important points under our roadmap which we are going to discuss today. So in the last session, we have already seen what is a string, what is the definition of a string, how to declare a string and use it in a few of the Python programs. So today we will see how the different operations, some of the different operations that you can perform over a string, what is meant by the indexing of a string, how to access the position number of different characters in a string, and what is the concept of negative indexing. So the first method related to strings in Python is the lower method. So here, as you can see in the particular example, we have created a string hello world. So you can see there is a mixture of cases here. Some letters are in capital letter and some of them are in small letter. So if you uh, call the lower function over the txt variable, then the entire text will be converted to the lower case. Okay. Similarly, we have the uppercase. For converting into uppercase, we have the upper method. So if you have a string with you, you have created one string, so you can easily convert it into the uppercase. That means all the characters, irrespective of the current case, they will be converted to the uppercase, and you can print it. So let us see the practical demonstration. So I'm just declaring one variable. So you can very well see that the entire text has been converted to the lower case. Okay, so we had the letters W, P in capital letters, right? So you can easily see that it has been converted to the lower case. The entire string has been converted into the lower case. So similarly, if you use the upper method here, upper function here, and execute it, so you will see that the entire text has been converted into the upper case. Next one is ends with method. So this is a very useful method in case you need to find out how many sentences are there in a particular paragraph or a document. So these are some regular tasks which we need to solve in NLP area, which is the natural language processing area. We deal with paragraphs, documents, text very frequently in NLP. So if you have created one variable like hello, welcome to India, this is only a single sentence ending with a full stop. So if you pass the dot or the full stop into the ends with method and pass and call it with the txt variable, then you will be able to see that it will print a boolean value of true or false. So accordingly, you can get the idea whether the sentence has ended or not. In this way, if you count the number of occurrences of dot, you will get how many sentences are there. Suppose if I modify this particular string as a sentence like this and starts with, if I call here, sorry, it will ends with, ends with, you have to pass the dot here, full stop. So you will get the true value because the particular sentence which was there was ending with the full stop. Now, if you don't have it, so it is not the presence of a sentence. So in that case, you are going to get a false. So you will get a false over here. Similar to the else with method, you have the starts with method. So if you want to check for the occurrence of a particular substring in a string, then you can go for the starts with method. The only condition is that along with the starts with method, you have to mention the specific string which you want to check is at the beginning of a sentence or a text or paragraph or not. Okay, and you in this case also you are going to get a boolean value. So let us see the demonstration. Starts with. I change it with I. So now it is giving true since the sentence was starting with an I. And if I change it into they, so you can see I have got a false as the outcome or the result for this particular text. Next is the find method. The find method is used to search for a particular substring, search for the presence of a particular substring in a string and print the index, the particular index into which the substring is placed. So we have already discussed the concept of index. Index means we know that the characters in a particular string are ordered. They have a particular position number. So if you write txt.find India, so it will just show the position of the substring India in the main string txt. Okay, and accordingly you can print the index number or the position number of the mentioned substring. Let us see over here in the ideally. Find, you want to find the substring coding into the main sentence. You can see it is showing 7 as the index. So how we got 7? Because 1, 2 is second is the space, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, it starts with 0. Actually, the index number starts with 0 always. So I is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So 7 is the index number. So you should remember the index number in a string or the position number starts with the digit 0. 0 means the first position, 0th index means the first position, 1th index is the second position. Like this it goes on. Okay. So if I want to find out the position of I, we have an I into our main string. So if you find out, try to find it out by the find function, then you can see 0. Yes, you will see a 0 over here because 0 is the index given to the first position of the string. Similarly, you can use index. There is another method known as index. So index just works similar to the find function which we discussed just now. So here also we are going to get an output. Run module. Yes, we got a 0 here. We can check it for some other. So we got a 2. 0, 1, 2. How we got a 2? I is the 0th index, 1 is the space and 2 is L. So you will get the starting index number into which this substring is placed in the main string. So next is the strip method. So normally you must have come across certain strings into which there are redundant embedded spaces both before and after the string. It may be due to the improper structuring of the paragraph, improper structuring of the document, or by mistake these spaces have been included, or due to the change in format of a document, these redundant spaces are placed. So what we can do, we can just use this strip function. So this particular strip function will remove the space both at the beginning and end of the string, both at the beginning and at the end of the string, right? So txt dot strip, and if you try to print it after storing it into x, so it will show the word apple without any spaces before and after it. So you'll get of all fruits, apple is my favorite. Okay, so let us demonstrate this. Yes, we got the output. Just you need to look at the syntax of this strip function, how to call it and use it within a print function. So we had spaces both before it and after it. So we just called the strip function over the txt variable, and we got the output. Next is string concatenation. So concatenation is basically how to join two different strings together, or we can say how to combine two strings together. So we can perform this by using the plus operator. The plus operator, when used with two string data types, it produces a concatenated string, right? And if you want a space, embedded space within between the two strings, then you can go in for first name plus double quotes plus last name. So let us look at this example. So I'm just clearing out the current code, and we want two strings over here. You have rainy into the first string, and second string you have day. So you can see we just successfully combined the two different strings, rainy day into rainy day. But you can see there is no space between these two strings. So how can we achieve this? How can we accomplish this? Just you need to include the space character and print it. So we got the output successfully, where we got a space between the two separate strings. Next, a very important topic on string is the concept of indexing, without which we cannot perform any of the operations on a string. So, I've already told you that each of the characters in a string has a numbered position called an index. So, why this index concept is used? This index concept is used so that you can access the uh, a- co- access the particular character at the in its position by mentioning it within two square brackets immediately after the string. So if you consider the example that we have created a variable called as flavor, and we have stored apple pie into the flavor variable. So whenever you will write flavor square bracket inside 1, that means you are trying to access the 1th index character from the string. Now the first position, the first index is actually 0. It starts with 0. So if A is 0, then P is 1. The first P is 1. That means the character at the 1th index is P. So by using the index concept, we are trying to access the individual character out of the string. Similarly, if you want to access the character at the beginning of the string, that means the first character in the string, then you can use the 0th index. So instead of flavor 1, it will be flavor 0. We already have some string here. So let us modify this, and string 2, suppose I write 0th index, and here if I write string 1, I want to fetch the third index. right? String 2 should give us D at the 0th index, and for the string 1 we should get N as the third index character. Yes, we got the output as D and N. So I hope you understood the concept of indexing in case of a string. Next is the concept of negative indices. Now the string in Python also supports negative indices. Now how these negative indices work? This negative index, the -1 or -2, -3, like this, the numbering is done from the end of a string towards the left of the string. Suppose you have apple pie as the string. So if you write, means you have the flavor variable into which apple pie is stored. So flavor 1 -1 would give you E. Why E? Because E is at the end of the string. Similarly, if you write flavor -2, flavor square bracket -2, then it will print the second last character. Okay, so this is the way how a negative index works. Now you may get a question like what is the use of negative index or what is the utility of negative index, right? So one reason is obvious that we want to fetch the last character of a string. In that case, you can use negative index, right? But the same task can be performed by using length function, but that would take two steps. By using length function also you can solve the particular problem. So how are you going to get the last character of a string? You do not know how many, uh, what will be the length of the string. So how can you calculate the last character of a string? Since a different strings will have different lengths, right? So if you use negative indexing, then it's a just one line code. Whereas if you do not know negative indexing, you have to go for length function, right? So try to demonstrate this. I'm just modifying the current program. Yes, we got a y. So how did we get this y? Just see that we have created a string1 variable and stored the string rainy into it. Now we want to find out which is the, we have to display which is the last character of the string called rainy. For this, if you are not using the negative indexing, then it would take 2 lines to solve this task. First of all, we found out the index of the last character of the string by using length function, and then we accessed the LC index and printed the particular content at LC index. But if you use the negative indexing, then this can be done in a single line. But how? A equals string 1 minus 1. So this would directly access the character at the last of the string, which is the y. Yes, we got a y again. So I hope it is clear to you the use of a negative index in case of a string. So this ends the session. So before concluding the session, I would like to summarize a few points that we studied in this session, particular session for string operations. So we started off, we began our session with some of the string operations like upper, lower, starts with, ends with, find, index, length. So these were some of the string functions operations that we studied. And also we studied concatenation, how to combine two strings both with a space or without a space. Then we studied the concept of indexing. What is the utility of indexing, how the numbering is uh, fixed for a particular character in a string. And then we studied negative indexing. So in case of negative indexing, you saw the how we can access the last character of a string by using the negative indexing. Actually, it makes the process easier to find out a simple task like locating the last character of a string, like locating the last character of a string. So getting the final character of a string with the index 1 takes less typing and does not require any intermediate step. Yes. So if you do not know negative indexing, then you have to go for the intermediate step, that means total 2 steps. You have to take the help of length function. You have to take the help of length function and subtract 1 from it to get the final index. So that's not enough. Then again you have to pass this final index into the user input, and lastly you get the particular content which is there at the final index to retrieve the last character. So you may get different type of questions in the competitive exams or in the technical rounds or different competitive or interview questions that they ask to solve on scenario based questions in string. So you may find these questions and concepts very useful. And strings are also used very frequently in the area of NLP because the programmers generally solve problems based on the different content of the paragraph, the content of the string, the content of the document. So they have to use the string functions very regularly, frequently, and solve the particular problem. So we have studied only a few of the string operations and functions. There are other also, like if you want to find out whether a string is of title case or not, whether a string is a null value or not. So for this particular cases, you have specific uh, string operations or string functions already available with you, right? So I hope you found this session very useful to you. So I suggest you to practice more and more questions on strings, solve questions on strings, scenario based questions. This will really help you to prepare for the interview and other competitive exams if you're going for Python skills. If you want to keep Python as a skill in your CV, then this kind of session and knowledge will really help you. Okay, and in any case, if you have any doubt, technical doubts, or any revision means if you want any if you want to give any suggestion, then also you can send it to the mentioned email ID. Okay, it is mentioned here. And with this, I would like to conclude my session. So I hope the session was very useful to you. Thank you.